They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You can play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh, my goodness. I see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you. But what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.
Yes. Welcome to another edition of Earn Your Liberation right here on Black Power Media. I'm Jared Ball, co-hosting with my main man, Geechee. Y'all, brother Diallo's out there diva-ing it up, and we'll be back forthwith. He's out there, you know what it is. He's out there trying to become
the coach's top thought leader.
So, you know, he's busy.
And y'all saw with the African turban on the other day, did you?
I did with the out of sync audio. Hey man, I didn't hear it when we were off in the pre-game, but we got to get you a mic, man. We got to get you a mic. My
mic is in my apartment and I'm on the road, so
yeah, we got to get you a traveling road mic. Yeah, we got and headphones that travel like they make portable stuff nowadays, man.
Listen, I don't got that travel
2023.
money.
You okay?
I ain't got that travel money.
You traveling, you took care of the hard part. The hard part is you physically traveling. The easy part is the mic. All right, yeah, I hear you. Look, so we actually greetings to the remixers as they start to come on in, and welcome to everybody, and peace, and a happy 2-year anniversary to Black Power Media. That today is our 2nd anniversary. Big shout out to us. Big shout out also to Dr. Todd Stephen Burrows for his birthday, Huey P. Newton's birthday. So, you know, and maybe we should actually even start with that. I didn't even think about it that way, but thank you very much. And to everyone helping us continue to grow and evolve. Welcome. And yeah, happy 2 years to us all. Right on. So we got a number of things to get to. So today, I guess we can end up on that. Man, now I'm tempted to do it now. Anyway.
Go ahead, man. Let's.
Well, I wasn't really ready for, but I guess I could, you know what? I'll just do it real quick. It's really not much. I hadn't really prepared much for it. I got a couple people sent me I forgot the name of their show, but Pascal Robert and his co-host did an interview with Adolph Reed about Adolph Reed's recent article in where's the article?
This is Revolution or something like that?
Yeah, this is Revolution podcast, right? And they were talking about this article here, and I didn't watch the interview. I wasn't interested in it, to be perfectly honest, because when I read this article pretty quickly, I wasn't really preparing to do a whole thing, and I thought maybe I might come back to it, but I kind of don't feel like it. But since it's the birthday of Huey Newton, I thought, maybe, it just, so he writes this thing, the Panthers, Bayard Rustin, the Panthers couldn't save us then either. And long story short is that Adolph Reed is once again, you know what? let me just go ahead and I'm going to come back to all of this over time. To deal with it more properly and with a little bit more forethought. So I admit that I'm rushing this a little bit. But essentially, when you read this article, what he's saying is what Reed is saying is that today's youth or young people or whoever are fraudulently ascribing to the Panthers a level of analysis and politics that they don't deserve, and over essentializing race, and not elevating enough of a critique. He talks about black capitalism in here, and so on and so on and so on. But what he's doing in this article, so he's essentially saying Bayard Rustin is better than the Black Panther Party. All right. And he, in terms of an analysis and an approach, we should be looking towards today. And he does this thing that, and he takes another shot at Afro pessimism. In fact, let me just read the quick summary I wrote to somebody. Let's see. But the article, after one quick read, is so many messes culminating for me, and Rustin is better than the BPP, who apparently had no critique of black capitalism and prefigured the currently ridiculous Afro pessimism and cultish left who are ruining everything. So because we haven't evolved on an already unevolved Black Panther analysis, and missed the point of Bayard Rustin, telling us that basically, as he talks about in the article, Rustin said after the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act passed that, you know, it's time to move on. And it's time to get to economic redistribution. So, I mean, there's so many things wrong with that, as if the Panthers weren't talking about capitalism, black capitalism, and redistribution, as if we on this platform, for instance, haven't for years been covering with a critique of the current Black Lives Matter or whatever existing politics that we haven't ourselves been saying they are misappropriating the brand of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army, and in a rightward trajectory, moving us away from radical class and race analyses, a variety of forms. This article suggests that what we see today is a logical conclusion of the failures and flaws of the Black Panther Party analysis, and then he goes into this thing about the cult that has arisen around Fred Hampton and things like that. Meanwhile, so in other words, it's doing what has happened so often in the world today, where something is rightfully justifiably criticized, but it's done so in a way that takes us to the right. And leftward critiques of that same problem are ignored. So we've been saying the same. Nobody over here, for instance, in our ecosphere, has been loving this current political moment of struggle, whatever. We all have all kinds of criticisms, but it's to move it to the left. And when we're critical of Black Lives Matter, it's not because they picked up falsely the failures of the Black Panther Party. We're saying, no, they didn't rise to the level of the analysis of the Black Panther Party, which drew the attention and the violence of the most powerful state in world history, which again, he says nothing about. It's one mention of COINTELPRO, nothing about political prisoners, nothing about sort of, again, there seems to be no consideration of an assessment that says the state wiped out the most radical elements and has left this vacuum into which all of these lesser figures can emerge. None of that. It's just to say, no, all of you are wrong. You're doing too much race essentialism. You're not evolving a black capitalist, redistributionist analysis. And I'm just sitting there like, man, who is this guy talking to? And it seems like it's almost, again, the point being that they want us to go back to the Democratic Party and Bernie Sanders type candidates, as if that's how I ultimately read into what Reed is saying. He doesn't actually say it that way, but that's what I'm reading. And that anything that doesn't go along with those lines is seen again as immature. And anyway, so that's just. So
first he sounds like DeSantis a little bit, because DeSantis says that he don't want any of that Black Panther stuff on the curriculum. So that's why they trashing the AP African American studies. But then also I'm wondering if he's equating Huey P. Newton's reimagining Black capitalism, and he's saying that he didn't give him a Black capitalism critique, because recently I heard people kind of shun us because we're going too hard on the Black business owners, and they say even Huey P. Newton wanted to work with the business owners. So is Adolph trying to say that's the reason why he didn't, Oh,
no, he doesn't say it that way. I'll just pull up this one section just to show you. And again, I'm not, I wasn't prepared for this. So but anyway, but essentially he says here, unfortunately, civil rights leaders or people who would claim that status either became the black Southern style machine politicians themselves or spurned popular mobilization in favor of elite negotiation and racial brokerage. So again, some of this I think is accurate. I think a lot of I think he starts with a legit problem, which is sort of the fraudulence of the popular activist community. But it's where he goes with that, and what he seems to ignore, which is a problem that I'm gonna quickly bring up in an unprepared, too soon way in a moment. But what he does is, instead of being critical of the left and then critical of what is and then encouraging us leftward, he seems to walk us away from that back to Bayard Rustin, which, and again, never mind all the stuff about Rustin's association. Like, didn't he snitch and spy on and I don't know, he did some funky things that I
thought he went Hakeem Jeffries. I thought he went way right to the Zionism.
He might have done that too, but he also and he, I don't know. But my point is, anyway, like I said, I wasn't ready for this, but just to continue here, Rustin's rejection of black capitalism as a strategy for improvement of black Americans' economic circumstances, also included here, is, if anything, more pertinent today as neoliberal racist reductionist discourse has fetishized entrepreneurialism, often only a pathetic euphemism glamorizing what is in effect irregular, contingent, degraded employment, demystification of black. So who is he talking to that isn't addressing this issue? And why doesn't he acknowledge those who are currently addressing this issue of black capitalism, those of us who are already on the left being critical of black capitalism, being critical of those who assume leadership positions and try to lead us in that direction? The article seems to ignore all of that, again, suggesting that if you had followed the trajectory of the Black Panther Party, you would have not been led to those conclusions. That without a Bayard Rustin analysis, you wouldn't be led to the conclusions of a critique of black capitalism. So even as he's dissing Fred Hampton or the cultism around Fred Hampton was one of the main critics of black capitalism, threatening to beat black capitalists to death with the Black Panther newspaper.
Listen,
so
he chose
but
violence.
then again, and then after being getting there late, admittedly, but being on that call last night and watching TJ Whitaker host a call with Sundiata Akoli, Daruba bin Wahad, with Sekou Odinga, and all of these, and with David Gilbert was even on the call. You got all of these, and my point is, all of these formerly incarcerated just got out of prison with a still powerful analysis, wildly critical of the current existing moment, leftward with the included critique of capitalism, black capitalism, etc. All of that's ignored by Reed and apparently This Is Revolution podcast in favor of this idea that everything that is happening now is based on a silly race reductionism, and we're not connected enough to Bayard Rustin's tradition. And I just can't, instead of saying we need to be in touch more realistically with these real radical traditions and warrior traditions, they're saying, no, let's go towards Bayard Rustin. And I just, so anyway, again, I wasn't planning on even bringing that up this morning, but as I thought about it being Huey Newton's birthday, and I was like, wait a minute. So at least let me say that. Maybe we'll come back to that later. People should read the article or check out the podcast if they want to. When I was asked on Twitter if I said, look, we've already dealt with this. I already had Reed on here, and I think it was made plain that Reed, we're not on the same page on certain things. And I think he's, his description of Malcolm X and all that. Like, I think there's a real issue with the black radical tradition and how people are engaging it today or not wanting to engage it. Now, real quick.
So there's a new thought of Rustinism out there or something?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. I didn't know. and again, not prepared for that. So, but similarly unprepared, I got the new book from Norman Finkelstein and saw him in an interview with Aaron Mate, and I'm setting up an interview with Finkelstein now. But the more I read the book and the more I look at what he was doing in that interview, I think the more we're going to have a disagreement for the same kind of reasons. That for a similar set of reasons. In the interview with Aaron Mate, Norman Finkelstein's, first of all, the book is a critique of the same kind of thing Reed is critiquing: fake Black radical leadership. So Finkelstein's already out of his normal lane, which makes me a little uncomfortable. It may be also uncomfortable to watch him in this conversation with Aaron Mate because, again, neither of them on a regular basis deal with Black politics, racial politics, Black radical politics. They don't involve themselves. Aaron Mate made room for Peniel Joseph, but would not make room for my critique of Peniel Joseph. So I just, and then there's no extended engagement with Black scholarship, politics, etc. So to see them in this conversation made me uncomfortable.
Maybe you people inspired it though. Maybe the movie inspired the.
Well, so years ago when I read Finkelstein's The Holocaust Industry, I reached out to him, and because there's a section in there where he briefly mentioned something along the lines that this conservative Zionist abuse of Jews and Jewish history had led to negative political interactions with Black people in struggle. And I was, the way I remember interpreting it is that Finkelstein was headed in the right direction of saying the conservatism among elite Jews was negatively impacting Black Jewish relations. And I wanted to follow up on that. We never, either he wasn't interested, didn't have the time, didn't care to interview with me. I don't know. And then so years and years later, here we are, and I'm like, I probably agree with you because he's critical in the book of Ibram Kendi, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Angela Davis, Barack Obama, and he's doing it from more of a hardcore Marxist tradition, and I get all of that, and I'm good with all of that, but obviously I don't think that they fully grasp the Black radical tradition in politics either. And because they don't engage with those politics, some of the criticism coming from Norman Finkelstein in that interview, at least with Aaron Mate, sounded a lot like what Reed is saying in this article here. It's that kind of, I don't like what you all are doing now, but you should listen to me or someone else who's not quite in these radical traditions that I'd like for us to be dealing with. And I would like to see them grapple with a little bit more. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. And I have to, better organize my thoughts, obviously, and continue reading and read more closely, particularly with the Finkelstein book, before I, and even with this Adolph Reed piece. But anyway, so none of that was I thought we were going to deal with today, so I wasn't really fully prepared. But there's just a lot of problems, a lot of problems. And again, I'll just stop by saying I think the Black radical tradition, broadly speaking, as we deal with it here, is on this platform, that is not addressed well enough by any of these folks. And for me, you got to address that and show the shortcomings before you can get me interested. It's not that it's not possible, but I just need that step to be taken. So, all right.
I just saw somebody.
Yeah.
I thought somebody in the chat said that Finkelstein doesn't like Black radicals like the Black Panther Party. He said that in multiple interviews.
I haven't heard him say that, and I have not read where he's discussed that. But after watching him in that interview with Aaron Mate, for some reason, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. And so that's why, and even and I don't know if it happened on air the last time I interviewed Finkelstein, but I did tell him either on or off air, I made sort of I didn't go too far with it, but I did say I would prefer that he not deal with these issues. Like I said something that like I think your genius is better suited. I was trying to say like stay in your lane is really what I was trying to say, to be honest with you. I was a little bit worried about this book and because I think his analysis on Israel Palestine has been very helpful. But I don't know, man. Let me, you know.
This looked like a setup, man, and erasure of Black Panther Party. You have the right diminishing them, and now you have supposedly black and white left. I don't know, man. 10 years.
We could come back to that because I know you were looking into that, and I'm happy for us to get there. So if you want to take us to that story about the attack on AP Black Studies, please do. But if I can, while you're doing that, I just want to show one thing real quick. Just to give have a little fun with an announcement of something that's coming up that I know we want to pay attention to and support. But I mentioned the other day that I had reached out to Killer Mike because I had noticed, and you had helped me notice actually, that he had been kind of quiet on Cop City. And
Church Mouse.
I did look on his Instagram and I didn't see anything, you know, and I remember that track he had put out recently talking about, you know, what was it that, you know, I'm the man, you know, you ain't, you know, everybody's soft, I'm the real this, I'm the best that, and all that stuff. But nothing about Cop City. So when I texted him and asked if he had a comment for attribution, and then he called while we were on air the other day, and I went to text and said, I'm on air, but I also said in the text, I don't want to have another off the record conversation that disappears. I just want something from you for print, for publication. And then he wrote back that he just wants me to stop texting him and, you know, wants me to do good. So in promoting this National Day of Action on March 9th against police terror, I did borrow one of his tracks. Get my Chevy ass to walking, stepping on the post, smoking on a new post. I wake up anyway. So I just wanted some way Killer Mike to support.
Kalonji gonna have to do a mediation with y'all too. Y'all tripping.
No, there's no need to mediate. He doesn't have to talk to me. We don't have to build. I would like if Kalonji wants to intervene, it would, you know, maybe just to get him to do some good work or support something, you know. Again, all jokes aside, nobody has to deal with me personally. It's not that deep. I'm not that important, but I would like to see people get involved more for the struggle. So for this National Day of Action on March 9th against police terror in support of Cop City, encouraging disobedience, direct action, banner drops, teach-ins, all kinds of whatever, you know, we want to support that. And I thought it would be great to borrow a little bit of an IG track from Killer Mike to have him support us. Because the track sounds dope. That I like that track, the way it sounds, at least. I don't know all the content, etc. So thanks to Killer Mike, and let's support this Cop City struggle. Yeah.
So I haven't seen much from his Breakfast Club buddy, but I was only curious because he came on TV with a Kill Your Master shirt, and he talked about how he's the son of a Atlanta cop, I guess. I think his dad was like a cop, or granddad. So I just wanted to hear, you know, his narrative from there, how he felt about that. But
well, I mean, he's even in the new PBS series on hip hop, you know, Fight the Power. He opens up episode 1 with that speech in front of the former Atlanta mayor. What's her name? Just went out of my head. Yeah. And you know, like he's representing the ongoing tradition of hip hop fighting the power. So here is the power literally expanding in his backyard. And it's quiet. It's just real quiet. Speaking of not being quiet, though, one more transition thing that we did want to, you know, one more thing to get out the way before we get to the serious business is my testimony from yesterday. Can we do that one real quick?
Yeah, let's knock that out.
And then we can do the AP.
You should just get a new job. Get a new job. You don't need more money. That's all you need.
So Yeah, exactly. One thing that, so one thing real quick. All right. We're going to do this testimony thing, and then we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the attack on Black Studies. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, so just let people know what's coming. We're going to talk a little bit about the attack on Black Studies, and we're going to talk a little bit about the back and forth that inspired between Henry Louis Gates and at least one other Black academic, right? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about the end of last year's, one thing that I did miss, the end of last year's return of Maggie Anderson to internationalize in the pages of The Guardian this nonsense about buying black. So we got a lot to get to this morning, and probably some other things that I've missed there. So don't worry. And yes, Diallo will be back, everybody. Neither one of us did anything to him.
We're going to talk about the Palestine, Ohio as well. And,
exactly. Thank you.
And the snitch from Denver.
And this, oh, right. So exactly. So we got a lot to get to. So in fact, what I'll do is after we do this testimony thing, we will do all of those other things, and I'll save the buying power, the Maggie Anderson stuff for the end, and with whatever time we have left for that, because that could take too much time if I'm not careful. All right. So just again, so yesterday was part 2 of our collective effort here in Maryland to get collective bargaining rights for faculty and grad students in the public university system and public universities, period, here in the state of Maryland. It's been an effort that's going on for some years now. I'm just learning about it and catching up to this ongoing effort, in part led by the American Teachers Federation, or Federation of Teachers. Right. So, yeah. And the American Association of University Professors, and of which I am now again a member, and a bunch of faculty and grad students in the state of Maryland. And on Tuesday, we went before the Maryland House and testified. And yesterday, I made an amended version of that, of my own testimony before the Senate with a whole bunch of us. I will say just a shout out to everybody there, that most of them I had just met for the first time. I don't really know a lot of these folks, but shout out to them trying to do good work. And to the person that was representative of I think of a number of people on the far left, which I want to be, who were critical of me even being there and supporting something that was being described as an appeal to massa. I would only say that on some levels, I agree that it's an insufficient step, but at the same time, I don't think it's fair to negatively judge as if that's all I or we are doing this effort, where some people are just trying to find a way to do some good things to help some other people. So there were people there taking risks to get other people some rights and benefits that they don't otherwise have. Not everybody there's a fully blown revolutionary radical. So it's just people trying to do the best that they can do within that context. So it's not the solution. It's not my own favorite work. It was hard for me to be there. It's hard for me to not become even more radical once I saw what we saw there this week. But just to be fair, I appreciate the effort of those that were involved, even if we're not, we don't have the exact same analysis. So that said, I will share here, because it was on tape, my 2 minutes of testimony. And then, and you may notice, if you notice, when I do look up, I'm often looking to my left, and it's because I'm trying to address one particular senator whose white, male, conservative, backwards intervention previously had been just so annoying. Senator Hershey is his name. Now, and by the way, so Senator Hershey, who went to all private schools coming up in the Maryland area, including going to James Madison University, of course, slave owner you. his response after hearing the initial round, because I was on the second panel, after the initial panel went and laid out all the case and laid out all the horrors and all the inequalities, and one black grad student was up there talking about how he had been driven to near suicide by the abuse that he felt he was suffering. This dude, this Senator Hershey, his response was, I'm amazed. I've been listening all day at how, you all working at universities have to struggle so hard as if you work in coal mines, he said. I just don't get it. And then go ahead.
No, I thought it was pretty disrespectful too. I used to organize in Eastern Kentucky, and there's a bunch of black lung up in there in coal mines. But yeah, that was a stinger.
So first of all, my point is, to your point, people working in coal mines who still have to do that work to this day are wildly exploited and abused. And it was as if he was saying anyone who doesn't have to live in that condition should be lucky. So you should be lucky. That was his attitude. You should feel lucky that I'm not enslaving you worse. Because how could faculty and grad students have any, he's like, you work at universities. What is the problem? What is the problem? And again, I get it. Relative to a coal miner, my life is very sweet, but that's not the context. And you can't keep, so that was slick. The other thing he did that was slick was that when the point was made on the previous panel that University of Maryland at College Park, just one of the university's system, the main College Park campus, routinely pockets like $100+ million a year that was being argued on our side should be redistributed to salaries, grad assistants, and stuff like that. But this same senator was like, oh, I'm glad to have heard that, because those of us who would like to basically defund all these universities, there's plenty we would like to see happen with that $100 million. So he said, thank you for that part of your testimony. We'll look into that. So he was a trip. But anyway, so I'll just share this 2 minutes.
Wait, you forget the part though. When y'all broke it down to the dollar per hour, he was like, well, shit, y'all ain't gonna be working that long anyway, right? You're gonna get another job after a while, right?
So they did break it down and showed that the grad students are paid in general about $14 an hour. It breaks down to about $14 an hour. And then his point was, and then it was also noted that it also was without benefits. And his thing was, but you're not going to stay there for long. You're going to move up and get a better job, right? And then somebody tried to intervene and say, no, some people dedicate their lives to teaching and are happy just to teach. And he was like, well, they should get a better job, or they should be happy to not have that money or those benefits then. I mean, it was hilarious. Anyway, so that's, if you can see me down here, that's who I'm trying to talk to. And he didn't even look up. He had his face in his laptop the whole time. So, but anyway. Greetings to those gathered. My name is Jared Ball, and I'm currently a tenured full professor at Morgan State University, where I have been for almost 18 years. Before that, I spent roughly 7 years at both Frostburg State and College Park as both faculty, graduate student, and undergrad, giving me 25 years of experience within the Maryland higher education system, but not within Maryland higher education, but not necessarily within the University of Maryland system. And it is this last point to which I'd like to draw some attention, given that it has not been made clear previously here or in my written submission. Specifically, collective bargaining protections must be afforded to those of us working within already hostile conditions and who have actually less recourse to address those issues, given the insular hierarchy of institutions like Morgan State. Without the ability to collectively bargain, individual faculty are left on their own, mostly to languish, quit, or perhaps to bring about their own independent lawsuit, which Morgan has seen plenty of and yet can easily withstand without corrective measures taken. In addition to the many grievances described by my colleagues here and in my own submitted written testimony, is the fact that these copious and well-documented abuses are protected by an existing state university structure and made worse by the fact that we have nowhere else within the university system to go with our concerns. I spent personally the better part of 7 years trying to address every abuse, from administrative plagiarism of my work to arbitrary hiring, firing,
pay increases, and an endless list of microaggressions designed to destroy spirit and collegiality, only to realize that Morgan State has, under the guise of historically Black autonomy and false claims to already shaky concepts of shared governance, continued with impunity to scuttle academic freedom, the value of earned rank and seniority, and even due process. Shared governance suggests a balance of power, and yet there is none among our faculty whose voice can only be heard when parroting messaging that comes from the president's office via our university councils. This is not sharing, nor is it at least good governance. I am therefore in favor of SB 247 and support for this long-held human right to collectively bargain. Thank you.
Bars. No, I'm just playing. Look, man, I mean, you know, it was, first of all, you sit around all day waiting hours to go up there, and as I said the other day, this little bit of an experience with these kinds of politics just makes me want to be more radical, and I, you know, it was very difficult for me to operate in that space, very uncomfortable, because you can't directly confront. There's all these all that passive aggression, all that other kind of stuff. It's just anyway. So
yeah.
Anyway,
They normally have the debate before these little testimonies get there, and then y'all wait all day. You got a little window to talk, and all that documentary, Stop Resisting. You can have everybody in the audience against it, but when they vote, they just gonna vote their money.
Now, there's another part of this that was interesting. I forgot to mention one that some of the senior organizers there are optimistic, at least as this goes, because they think that the Senate will pass it this time, as they have done actually in the past, where Larry Hogan, the former governor, vetoed it, but this current Westmore governor, they expect will not veto it because an agreement. Exactly. And what was being said, I had so at one moment, right? So while we're waiting, right down the hall and on the other side from where we were in another hearing room was, and we could see him on screen testifying before another committee, a budget committee, was the president of Morgan State University, Dr. David Wilson. So it was a very odd moment as I'm waiting to testify about the absence of faculty protections. He's over here and I'm watching him. And as I'm watching him testify on screen, I'm talking to the senior Black labor union organizer who is schooling me on a number of different things, including the fact that he pointed to the screen. He said, your president is currently in there getting bigger budget for Morgan, but what they don't tell you, and then somebody just did send me the budget this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but he said, what they don't tell you is that, and what he doesn't tell them is what happens to that increase and where it goes and how it's almost exclusively for administration and so on and so on. But that does speak indirectly to the point I've been trying to make without all the details, that it's not an issue of what just comes to the university, it's how it's redistributed. It's how what does come to the university is redistributed. So that part was interesting. But anyway, but he was also saying that he expects, similar to some of us, that Westmore is on the fast track, and that the paradox will be that this little bit of unionization help will be supported by West, because when he makes that run for president, he needs to have shown that he has done some good things for his constituents in Maryland. And apparently, I didn't know this, he on his first day signed an executive order turning over hundreds of millions of dollars to Baltimore City that Hogan had been denying them. So obviously that doesn't, who knows what that means in terms of where that money is going to end up going. But on paper, he's going to be able to say, look, I'm ready to be president because I've already done all these big things in Maryland in a short period of time. So again, the paradox might be that I might end up with the right to build a union on my campus because he took a step forward to get himself elected early. So anyway. Should be interesting times.
I'm sure the leaders of a beautiful struggle gonna get some of that money. They're gonna direct that money, I think. I hope so.
We'll see. I don't know. They were down there. I saw Davon yesterday. Shout out to Davon Love. I saw him down there. We had a little lunch together. Yeah, he was down there. They down there. He working on various. And I told him, I don't know how you do it. I was like, I like the margins better. More power to you. But the reality is, again, even going back to the folks who are critical of me on Instagram for even being there. On some level, I get it, but on another hand, on the other, I guess I'm in a moment where I'm stuck. I'm like, we either have to, capitulate and participate in this madness, or we have to go wildly in the other direction. And I don't see enough people, and that's where I keep advocating. But everybody keeps telling me I'm wrong, and apparently, I was getting dragged indirectly by Reed and Robert for this internal colonialism piece. They maybe have the solution, and that's why we need to be more Bayard Rustin. I don't look. Well, I don't know how that would work. I don't know how you unionize, whether it's legal or not, especially when, because again, you got to think about what that means. Because even if we get this bill passed, people like me would have to go get more than half of the faculty to sign off on forming a union. And I know there's enough working people in our chat to know that that's not a guarantee. That's not a given. There's plenty of anti-union messaging and propaganda and buy-offs and payouts. And I mean, I watched it in my own struggle. I watched people that I was collectively building with to struggle against the administration get picked off and turn against individuals, including me, and literally work against us and literally take stuff we said in our meetings to the dean. So you know what I'm saying? And if they were taking shots at me, more power to them. I take plenty of shots at folks, and if it gets them to another level of analysis and struggle, more power to them. And if they got some evidence to argue against internal colonialism as an approach, bring it on. You know what I'm saying? I invited Reed to the table here. I haven't heard from them. You know what I mean? I ain't heard. Ain't nobody invited me to come over there. And then no, I'm just playing. Anyway. Oh, wow. Now, I do know just yesterday, as I was waiting for the hearing, we heard that faculty at Hopkins signed on to a union. Of course, they're a private institution, or signed on to unionize, I think, underneath, I forgot which one of the unions. So there's a lot of these details I don't really know in terms of how this gets done and all of that. I'm just generally a sucker for supporting any form of organized resistance, even if I don't feel like it's sufficient. But oh no, I would not. I disagree with this, Anthony. I get that unions are not always trustworthy, but the concept of unionization, to me, I'm a sucker for. I'm a union baby. Labor organization in my household was the number one thing. So I can't agree with you on that, Anthony. Because if you're not messing with unions, who you messing with? Disorganized labor? I don't know. That don't work either. So I don't know. I hear you though. Maybe we need to, I don't know, create something new. I'm with you. Just anyway. All right. You ready, Geechee, man? What you want to lead us on this Black Studies piece, man?
Well, let's go to the organized structure of making sure that our Black children or churn get the right Black history. Well, and you made a comment, but I don't know if you would agree. But would you agree that this fight is similar to the Black Studies fight in the universities? Because that's what they said, and I heard you kind of said that too. Would you say?
Wait, what do you mean? Who?
So pretty much the fight for the AP American history is similar or the same as the Black Studies fight in the universities that were a few years ago. Like, would you see this fight as the same or similar?
That's a good question. I may not understand enough of your question or enough of what's going on to answer properly, but my quick first answer would be that to institutionalize nationally an AP Black Studies curriculum, right, is one effort. The effort of the Black Studies movement is to me something different. So I'm not saying that the AP effort is bad, but I think we would have to acknowledge that it's different. That, as I've always interpreted the Black Studies movement, it has been meant to be a parallel of the most radical movements in the streets. It's supposed to be the intellectual wing of that movement. It is supposed to represent the most aggressively militant analyses that we could develop and deploy with science and research, not just making stuff up, obviously. But so I don't know. And I don't know that an effort to institutionalize curriculum does that. But I haven't looked at the curriculum. I don't know enough about the effort. I don't know. But that's just my initial answer. So sorry. Yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
No, I sent the curriculum, and I would say no, because pretty much Skip Gates is kind of behind the messaging.
So that's the other thing. His involvement makes it a no for me just off the break. Yeah. Thank you, McYagermeister. I'll look into that. Thank you.
And if you let him tell it, he was running the show, protecting the Black Panthers.
Yo, are we showing that clip? Is that where are we starting with that, or where are we starting?
Yeah, do you have it, or I gotta send it to you?
Yeah, I got it. I don't know if we can make it through the whole thing though. And just everybody, trigger warning. We need to give a Henry Louis Gates trigger warning. Because otherwise I just pays to be Black. How fast does it take for him to mention that he went to Harvard or Yale?
My name is Henry Louis Gates Jr., and I'm a professor at Harvard. I team teach with my friend Lawrence Douglas Bocom a large lecture class called Introduction to African American Studies. AAAS 10, the kids call it, and they also call it Blackness 101. Why do they call it that? Well, the course is constructed around the debates that Black people have had with each other since the 18th century about what it means to be Black. Now, why would we think of constructing an introductory course in that way? The roots trace to...
So the first time I just want to stop real quick. One thing, I remember reading some interesting work on mass incarceration maybe 10, 15 years ago from Larry Bobo. So I just want to throw that out. I don't know where he went since or what he's doing, whatever. But the other thing is, I actually think when I first watched this, I think what he's saying is intriguing as an approach to a course that is great debates in black communities over time. I think the reason he's setting it up that way is scandalous, but the idea itself I think is pretty good.
To New Haven, Connecticut, when I was an undergraduate at Yale University.
Bam, Yale.
Particularly my sophomore year, 1969 to 1970. That was the Wild West year of revolution. In April that year, we went on strike to defend the right of the Black Panthers to get a fair trial, which Bobby Seale was most certainly not getting.
Where's the evidence
in the courthouse located on the green?
And I actually did try to look at that. Where's the evidence of his involvement in strikes in defense of the Black Panther Party?
The whole country went on strike. But leading up to the strike that we launched in the middle of April was a long year of ideological debate and ideological discourse. Liggett's drugstore was on the corner of North Street and Elm Street. To get from Liggett's drugstore,
look, 40 years from now, everybody will have been in Ferguson.
I called it.
Everybody will have been
right on the corner as soon as you got to Liggett's drugstore,
watching George Floyd get killed
with a beret, big afro, and he was selling the Black Panther paper. If you got past him, then there was a guy very neatly dressed, white shirt, black suit, black bow tie, very short, closely cropped hair, in a Quo Vadis style. He was selling Muhammad Speaks. If you got by him, there was a white boy, scraggly hair, looking like a hippie, looking maybe a little unwashed, who was selling the SDS newspaper. So that you had to navigate your way around and through these various ideologies in order to get to the bookstore to buy books for your courses. And on campus, there were a lot of ideological bullies. People telling you that if you had white friends, then you weren't black. Unless you had an afro, then you weren't black. If you didn't wear dashikis, you weren't black. If you didn't think that our first language should be Swahili, then you weren't black. Blah, 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 blah. And the whole thing made me sick because I grew up in a very secure black community. And the one thing I knew is that, well, today there are 42 million African Americans. There are 42 million ways to be black. And real black people hang out in barbershops, people hang out in beauty parlors, have no compunction at all about saying what they really feel about a particular issue. And no one stands up and tells them that they aren't black enough. And I decided
except Joe Biden,
that if ever I was in a position of authority, that the gift that I would give my students and the testament that I would make in memory of the ideological bullying that we suffered, which had severe consequences on some of my contemporaries.
I'm sorry. That's
okay.
enough. Real quick though, this intellectual bullying, for someone who has intellectually bullied black academics and others for the last 30 plus years, that is a really disingenuous and upsetting comment for him to be making. To suggest that he had to resist against all these radicals who were bullying him into submission, that if he could, once in power, he would give the gift of offering honest debate. I've watched this man get more animated than I am now, attacking a much dead Kwame Ture for espousing a politics that this man felt were uncomfortable. Not in a debate, not in a discussion. He doesn't make room for people to his left to have honest discussion and debate. He condemns them and calls himself an intellectual entrepreneur. So the bullying has been from those that have propped him and put him in position to defend them for the last 50 years against Dr. Clark, against anybody, any form of a materialist left, anybody left of the Democratic Party, all down the line. So that he would feel comfortable. Again, this is not about, honestly, I really don't care who people love, but that he wants to be comfortable with his white wife and his white community of academics and intellectuals. That's what he is. That's what he is responding to here. And I it's so disingenuous to then say, I'm going to give the gift in the because now we don't get intellectually bullied. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? That happens all the time. Intellectual people getting canceled every 5 minutes. Anyway, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
The Bucker got him mine. He got him mine. And so look, I don't know.
You want me to show the PDF? I don't know if is that what you want? Yeah.
No, you ain't got to show it because you know you can easily search through it and realize that one, it's either I don't think Skip has control over it. It's just the Florida Department of Education and some nonprofit that they're working with, and they get the final say what's in the curriculum. And they, you know, for instance, they said the Florida Department of Education was asking the nonprofit, like, what does intersectionality mean? And then they also said, please do not promote any of that Black Panther thinking in this curriculum. And so
where does it say? Wait, where does it say that?
It says it in I can get you an article, but it says in the article. Let me find the article again. But
yeah, we got you. You got to. Where does it say that?
I texted to y'all last night. I gotta find it now. But
you sent it in the group chat.
Yeah, I sent it in the group chat. Maybe Diallo stole it and took it away from us. But so let me find that real quick. But that's one of the things that I was reading on there. But then when I searched that curriculum for capitalism, Fred Hampton, socialism, communism, they didn't even talk negative about communism, imperialism, any of those things. You ain't gonna find none of that in any of that curriculum.
I did have some hope because I did notice one thing. So I did, when I looked at the acknowledgments, I did have some hope because Greg Carr was an additional contributor. Josh Myers is listed as a contributor. Those were the only names that I recognized. I did, all jokes aside, Meyer's name, I was like, because I'm really enjoying his current book, but this right down here, boy, I don't know. So that's interesting. So, wow, socialism doesn't appear? Wait, nah. Because he said they're having the great debates. Didn't he? How did he describe it? That they're showing the great arguments in Black history. And so wait, how could socialism not even be? It's not even mentioned. Hold on, stop playing.
Listen, I
so
Afrocentric. My computer broke.
No, socialism doesn't show up, but they do have some Afrocentric aesthetic. Let's see, Afrocentricity.
I found that
complexities,
article.
Special examinations, Afrocentricity and Black nationalism, the AIDS crisis, Africa and slavery. Wait, so where did the policy debates? Black Lives Matter, affirmative action, reparations, legacy of redlining, the Combahee River Collective and beyond, Black women, Black politics. But no, yeah, that's fascinating. Capitalism. Wait, the word capitalism is not in here? Only capital, as in capital city? So the word capitalism is not, the word capitalism doesn't show up. Wait a minute.
One piece of capitalism in there.
Wait a minute. All right, so supremacist, white supremacist shows up a couple pages. In the Red Summer. So but not even a Red Scare? They don't even do. All right, that's fascinating right there. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I was looking for the Red Scare too. I was looking for the.
Like Garvey's in here.
Actually, I didn't look up cooperatives and stuff like that, and I can't remember. They did mention Ella Baker, but they didn't go into
cooperative. No cooperative. Co-op. Nope.
And obviously, they muddled the Black Wall Street shit too. So they
was that in there?
They had like one line. Well, just a thriving community, blah blah blah. A real quick line, but the same old trope.
Now, you did send an article because when he made that point about the 42 million ways of being Black, of course, his point on the underlying theme, of course, is that Black people are not meant to be seen as an internal colony or a nation within a nation. They're not meant to be seen as having any collective or unifying experience or history. Just 40 independent people, millions of people out there. So, but apparently he had been saying this for a couple of years, and people like me just hadn't been paying attention, because here we have Deborah Gray White at the 12th annual Schreiber lecture in 2019 responded to this. And oh, no, that she's wait. If there are 40 million Black Americans and there are 40 million ways to be Black, said Deborah Gray White, the Board of Governors Distinguished Professor of History at Rutgers University, quoting she's responding, quoting the famous historian, Harvard historian, Henry Louis Gates Jr. White invoked Gates' question in the guiding question, evoked Gates' question as the guiding question and title of her talk. Are there really 40 million ways to be Black? The quote comes from a conversation between Gates and the author cited in the first chapter of Touré's Who's Afraid of Post-Blackness, What It Means to Be Black. Now, also Touré, no wonder. Oh my God, no wonder. No wonder. Let's see. She went on, I thoroughly believe Black women and Black men experience Blackness differently, that straights and LGBTQs experience Blackness differently, and so do native-born Blacks, African-born Blacks, Caribbean-born Blacks, she said. Still, there is something about this current period that makes me wonder if there really are 40 million ways to be Black. She talked about the one drop law, creating a uniquely different kind of citizenship for African Americans behind what Du Bois euphemistically called the veil, has its own style and aesthetic. The idea of a singular Black community emerged in the early 20th century. In 1897, Du Bois called for unity among us behind a singular flag, placed there by Black hands, fashioned by Black heads, and hallowed by the travail of 200 million Black hearts beating in one glad song of Jubilee. White pointed out Du Bois's phrasing was in contrast with Gates's urging one glad song of Jubilee, not 40 million songs of Jubilee, she said. Black unity was emerging where the community was most needed to defend itself. The Ku Klux Klan, disenfranchisement, and Jim Crow segregation threatened the 20th century Black experience. Even where Black people differed in their daily lives when it came to race pride as a weapon of self-defense, they were on the same page. So, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I showed you the link where he talked about no Black power thinking, but we gonna skip after we finish this because he's done. But
he said what now?
On the CNN article is where they said, does this course promote Black Panther thinking? The CNN link that I just sent in the chat.
Oh, hold on. Okay, let me pull that up. Okay, wow.
But like they was
College Board hits back. Florida's initial rejection of AP African American Studies course admits it made mistakes in rollout. Oh, they made mistakes. This is from Monday the 13th. And so you're saying the African American Studies folks admitted some flaw in the way they rolled out the project? Hold on, let me just find the part you're talking about. Okay. The College Board reached out to Florida officials for details about how the proposed course framework violated state law, but didn't receive any of that information in subsequent phone calls with the department. The testing organization said these phone calls with FDOE were absent of substance, despite the audacious claims of influence FDOE is now making. The College Board statements reads, in the discussion, they did not offer feedback, but instead asked vague, uninformed questions like, what does the word intersectionality mean? And does the course promote Black Panther thinking? Well, no, it doesn't, because
not at all.
There are no Black Panther mentions or well, actually, let me not say that, but there's no mention of socialism. Is the Black Panther Party mentioned? They would have to be mentioned.
Yeah, they mentioned, but there's some light work on them, and more with Cleaver.
Right. So there's a section on Black Power and Black Pride. Mm-hmm. That's the title: Black Power and Black Pride.
Kathleen taught us to love our afros, by the way.
Kathleen Cleaver on natural hair in a video, right. Growth of the Black middle class. So there's, Colin Powell and Barack Obama, Gwendolyn Brooks, Kathleen Cleaver, the Black Panther Party's 10-point program, the free food program. So that was one thing Adolph Reed mentions in his article. He was saying the Black Panthers get all this credit for starting a free breakfast program that the government would co-opt, but he says that the free breakfast program that the government instituted was in 1966, before the Panther Party formed, so that they're given undue credit for that bit of history. Reed says. Anyway. But so they were attacked and destroyed because they were late, apparently, in starting the free breakfast program. So the government said, hey, why are you trying to copy what we're doing? We're already doing everything your people need, so we're just going to go ahead and wipe you out. That stuff is comical, man. Thank you, Andre Taylor, by the way. Peace and love to BPM's 2 years. Thank you for the work and the fellowship. Thank you, Andre. Thank you for the support. And yes, definitely, again, happy anniversary to us here at BPM and to all of you for helping us get here and continuing to grow. Anyway, yeah, what's up? What's next? Where are we? Where are we? I got a little lost there.
Let's go. Let's take the train ride. So apparently, I think Ricky said something in the comments that the same company train crashed in Detroit as well. So my eyes lit up because I was like, wait, let me see if they had chemicals on that one too. But supposedly that one didn't have chemicals. But yeah, let's go to Palestine, Ohio.
So let's see. Situation. Here we got. So I think this is the first link you sent. Mm-hmm. And you want to walk us through this, or are we playing this video, or what were we doing here?
Nah, we don't have to play. But so pretty much this company, what is it? Norfolk Southern.
Norfolk Southern.
One of the, one of the bigger, well, I guess the biggest in their industry, and they're owned by a bunch of investors. Supposedly BlackRock is connected to them, but they've had like race issues paying their employees millions of dollars, the black employees millions of dollars, selling. They've been doing that since '94, so it's a problematic company. But then they also boast about how safe they are and how helpful they are to communities that they trains deliver through. But so this crash happened. You have chemicals in the Ohio River where almost 5 million people depend on water, and it's supposedly one of the deadliest environmental emergencies in decades. And initially, they wouldn't even send their employees to some of the community meetings, and mainly they said because they didn't feel their employees would be safe. I couldn't really tell if it was like they wouldn't be safe because of the water and the chemicals, or they thought the people in Palestine was gonna whip their ass. I couldn't determine which one it was, but it sounded like the latter. But yeah, so
by the way, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead. No, just as if like 3 days ago, like 3,500 fish have died, 12 different species, and then it's like a 38 trains derailed, and several of those was carrying those hazardous waste. And again, some of those hazardous waste could cause liver cancer, brain issues, lung and blood issues. And yeah, that's pretty much. But go ahead, and then
I did find this in the Tennessee Star, and the headline is kind of funny. Woke ESG management fund BlackRock owns 6% of Norfolk Southern, whose train derailed in Ohio. And I think it's funny that they're calling them a woke ESG because as we've actually talked about before here, BlackRock and its CEO, Larry Fink, have become well known in recent years for pressuring executives in the publicly traded companies in which it invests to comply with social governance standards, which many critics have described as overwrought with coercive left-wing political correctness. Yeah. So again, it's funny because when we were talking about it, the point was he's falsely ascribing some wokeness, again, along the lines of the woke imperium, to fraudulently convince consumers that his investments and his businesses are doing something for them. Not that they're actually making people do anything. But here's this outlet is saying that I guess the coercive tactics made this situation. I don't know. Since the February 3rd train derailment, however, BlackRock has been silent about the conduct of the executives who run Norfolk Southern. On Thursday morning, the Ohio Star and Star News Network asked the communications team at BlackRock if the management team at Norfolk Southern has handled the February 3rd, 2023 train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, in a manner that is consistent with its own ESG standards. As of the publication of this story, BlackRock has not responded. So that's this outlet is their issue is that it's BlackRock's fault, and the Jew investor, as I read the subtext, that it's their fault, not any, not the train or whatever the hell else is going on. It's this is the white version of the Jews did it. Right. But anyway, Yeah.
So Manning said it was pronounced Palestine. So I guess I was getting caught by the Palestine.
Oh, it's not Palestine?
And Palestine. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Is that how they really say it?
Also,
or they just say it that way so they don't say Palestine? Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know, bro. Like if you ever been in Ohio, Kentucky, they say a lot different, worse than people in Gullah Land. But one of the chemicals, I think it was which one was it? I'm sorry, the hydrogen chloride. Once it hit the air and if it's burned at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, they said it's just as poisonous, and that type of chemical was used in World War I as a choking agent. So like,
that mustard gas stuff.
Yeah. But they said the company decided to burn it because they said it would be a controlled burn it, but it still caused some issues. But I guess it's so many different sources, and supposedly the major news wasn't reporting it, but I've seen it actually on at least local news in South Carolina. But
they didn't have proper zoning or operating permits for 3 years.
Yeah, that actually remind me of Kentucky for real. Like most of the mining sites are not they didn't get proper zoning, and then when they're transporting the coal, they're supposed to have tarps on, and they don't have tarps on the truck, so it crashed your window. And in fact, there's one family, a kid got killed by some tumbling fly rock, and they fought the lady off for years, and I think she never even got money. So that article actually reminded me of a bunch of the coal issues. And speaking of coal, but coal issues in Eastern Kentucky.
Wow. Did I miss any links? Did we get to all the links?
No, it wasn't much links for that.
Okay.
I did have the just to be funny, I had them. They have a safety video where they talk about how safe they are and how they check the tracks, and I mean all that's long gone now. So.
Okay. Wow. Anyway, all right. Well, what's next? What are we doing next? Oh, you did send the screenshot of the Panther thinking line.
Yeah.
Go to what now?
But next we can go to the hearse driving left Denver snitch.
Yeah, I actually listened. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I think initially I wanted to kind of get into like, any kind of movements we in, and or when we respect OGs based off of their stories, like some older person come in and we just want them because they have this much experience and stuff, and they kind of saying this is how the white boy got them. Like he started talking about he fighting for radical left groups, and they accepted him in, and he was in leadership within a couple months or so. So I guess I wanted to talk about like even that how we feel like we engage sometimes with some older people who might, I don't know what they've done, right? Some elders in our movement that we just automatically give grace, and then there's some elders who even write content that says that elders should be beyond reproach. Not saying that this white dude is a African elder, but because he was older, because he had some language, they pretty much just brought him in and gave him all the keys.
Yeah, I didn't read the article too closely, so I don't really have much to say about it. It was originally published in The Intercept. I had been listening to even listened to the more recent episode of the Alphabet Boys podcast where I first heard about this story. I mean, my initial thoughts are basically the same, that we are not sufficiently organized, and that leaves a lot of room for all kinds of crazy things to happen. And I still do feel like, and I don't know that it wasn't popular when I used to bring it up in closer organization. I don't think it's very popular as an idea now, but on some level, I can't help feeling like we should be doing less overtly and spending more time building organizations, building our political education, learning who each other are. Too many times we're in meeting space, or used to be. I'm not in many anymore, but it's so easy to be in a meeting space where you don't know everybody, or you don't know anybody very well, or others can easily come in and do what you're saying and tell stories that inspire people, or, and because there's no protocol, there's no, what's the word I'm looking, accountability. We don't, I mean, I remember one of the last meetings that, when I was more involved with the DC chapter of the Malcolm X grassroots movement. I remember I was even trying to borrow something I had heard from Questlove talking about bands, and we used to try to implement it when I was in Mama's Biscuits, which was, he said, you need to have a day, pick a day, and every day needs to be band day, and not to practice, just to socialize, eat breakfast, have a meal together, drink, hang out, get to know each other, build camaraderie outside of the work you're designed to do. And I was trying to say the same thing. We all keep running out here to do the next event. We don't even know each other. How are we going to get to the next level where we need to get to, where we really need to trust each other, if we're not taking those initial steps? And it just feels like, and I'm not, again, close enough to know with requisite authority, but it feels like we're in a moment of just hyper run out and do something, grab 3 people that you sort of know and go make some noise and go do something. And so the other day, that reminds me. So the other day, this brother in the DC area tags me on Facebook after years of not being in contact, and says something like, Jared Ball inspired my work to do this, that, and the third. And I actually posted publicly and said to this person, stop doing that. For years, you and I used to have back and forth over this very issue, where I used to say, like, this dude used to come to our meetings only to promote his next event. And I at one point had a conversation with him about that. Years later, I said to him, I thoroughly disrupted a meeting he was hosting because I was like, this dude you got me sitting next to is a fraud. I'm not taking pictures with this dude. I don't know who this dude. And I told him, I said it was my fault because you invited me and I showed up and I didn't know who was going to be there. I didn't check, and I'm not doing it again. I don't mess with this guy. We're not, and then finally this brother came up. He started, before even Black Lives Matter, he started doing this hashtag thing of saying, do something. And I even said to him then, I was like, that's too vague. Do something, because what you do, I don't agree with, advances us. You don't support what I do. So my do something isn't you on your, so anybody can just do something. Anybody could just, anyway. And I was like, stop. So stop falsely associating us and promoting what you're doing as some sort of radical advance or something that I would be supportive of, when I've told you directly to your face I'm not supportive of. So anyway, all that to say, I think it's just, the moment is, that to me was a microcosm of this problem. You could falsely, as if I'm helping you, falsely associate yourself with me as if what you're doing is what we would all be in agreement with and would work. And I'm saying, no, if we're going to get there, we need to build and organize and get on the same page and know each other and then move forward. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, man.
So what do you think of some, I guess, effective practicum type situations? So I would think that, like, studying together and making it mandatory that people study in theory, getting bounced off, being challenged, seeing how people respond to new information. But what are some maybe other practicum-ish things that we could do to, I guess, better vet people? And
I don't know what I was suggesting at that time with MXGM, and this is already like 15, 20 years ago already. Damn. I mean, I was saying just what Questlove was saying. Let's cease all of these little projects we're doing that really aren't effective, and let's just start studying together. Let's socialize together. I remember I think I told one sister and her husband who were there. I was like, I've never been to your house. You've never met my kids. I've never met your kids. You know, eventually, if we're going to get to a point, you know, we don't build, we don't eat meals together. We show up every once in a while, have a meeting, and tell each other what projects we're doing, and try to get others to support some sort of event. And there's plenty of that. That's everything. That's what everybody does. There's millions of events, but to build the kind of threatening movement, I think needs something else. So I don't know. So that would be my suggestion to those who, you know, figure out ways, even in small collectives, to really learn who each other are and become tight. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. And that's sort of how I felt even being at the Capitol yesterday. I don't know. Like, I don't feel moved by what I was involved with yesterday, other than the vague idea that I'm in some sort of solidarity with people trying to help working people, which always feels good on some level. But, you know, I wasn't, you know, and in the spaces where I felt most moved, there are no mics, there are no cameras, and really maybe only about 5, 10, 15, 20 people. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I think a couple people, well, maybe one person in the chat from Denver.
Oh no, it's not Kamal Frank. I'm talking about Kimon Freeman, by the way. I'm very, Kimon and I have, you know, yeah. I didn't want to be. I don't want to be confused. Well, I Kimon Freeman. He's, you know, I mean, you know, and I don't think he's like. I don't think he's a horrible person. I'm just saying, we've just had this pattern of an engagement for decades now, where I'm like, my man.
WEAC Radio in DC, right? WEAC Radio.
So that was my point. He said I used to check out Jared's pirate radio broadcast, and it inspired me to do WEAC Radio. And I had to remind him, but you never invited me. I was never there. Mm-hmm. I even had told him, I have even said to people, look, man, and part of it is, I say to people, look, I'm struggling with my job.
Right.
Getting some media attention, even on your radio station, would be helpful. Being interviewed about my work would be helpful. Even if you don't feel like a legit, you know, but then if you're not going to do, and then one time I told him specifically, I said, my dude, you got Rock Newman on your network doing ridiculous interviews about Malcolm X. And we had just put out a live reinvention. Where's our interview? And I said, if you don't have me, get any of the other contributors. It doesn't have to be me. And it didn't happen.
Rock Newman got a really, really rapey video out with some young girl. It's messy. I think it was a prank, but the way in which he like responded to the young girl, I had to find it. I was like, whoa, Rock Newman is something else. But hey, don't nobody tell Diallo this. But at one point, I was mixing Kimon and Diallo up. I was like, but they're on different platforms. But I was like, yo,
different platforms, when different cities, they don't even look alike.
But listen, huh? Actually, they kind of.
You think Kimon looks like
kind of remind me of each other.
I don't get that at all.
Both of them got baldies, both of them tall. But anyway, but yeah, at one point I was.
Is Diallo that tall? I don't think I've ever seen Diallo in person. I've never seen him standing up. Yeah. Is he as tall as Kimon? Kimon's taller than me. Kimon's 6'3". Kimon is taller than me. He's got to at least be 6'3", 6'2", 6'3". I'm about 6'2", so he's got to at least be 6'3", 6'4", maybe.
Wait,
Kimon is up.
That's why you don't.
I have to look up.
That's why you don't want to go to the
eye line. Huh?
Is that the reason why you don't want to go to the Bus Boys no more because of him?
No, I don't go to Bus Boys anymore because I don't get invited to Bus Boys. I go to Bus Boys. In the new Bus Boys out here near me, I go to somewhat regularly. My resistance to Bus Boys historically was that I was trying to defend Cafe Marwanage, which was erased and removed so they could build the new Howard Theater area. By the way, tonight, Black Alley, Lord Finesse, Pharaoh Monch, and others are performing at the Howard Theater. And I was like, maybe I will go to celebrate BPM's anniversary, and I can't afford it. Even post-freedom scholars, I cannot afford it. So I don't know.
Hey.
I'm like, but my point was, I support this very Black-owned grassroots Mawanage, Cafe Mawanage. And when Busboys was being built, I was like, this is the new bougie. So my initial thing was, don't go over there. I was like, boycott Busboys. It's not Black-owned. It's got the Black aesthetic and a Black bougie thing. We should support Cafe Mawanage, which was not as slick, not as stylish, not as comfortable, but way more politically where we needed to be. And it burned down in a mysterious fire, and then everybody went to Busboys, and that was it. So my only other issues with Busboys are it's a lot of the liberal stuff that I'm not a fan of, and they keep having that thing where Dr. King is depicted as a dreamer. I used to put in the suggestion box all the time, stop calling him a dreamer. He's not a dreamer. Anyway, but hey, listen, anyway.
So people in the chat taking shots at my height. I'm 5'9", but I bet you none of y'all won't grab me because I'm from Charleston and shit get real over there. Anyway, so look, man, we almost got too far away
Diallo
from
is 6'3". Wow.
Who Diallo?
Diallo. James said Diallo is 6'3". Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah, Diallo,
yeah, so he's taller than me too.
His jump shot broke, but he tall. Yeah, his jump shot broke. So the Denver dude, like you said, you watched the podcast. Did you listen to any of the
to the Alphabet Boys podcast? Yes,
the links
I did.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
And so on the one hand, I thought there would be more revealing stuff in it than there was. But the general vibe for me is just what we're saying here. COINTELPRO is still happening. It never ended. It's just rebranded and reformed. It's I think more sophisticated and more easily done now. And we are in a really bad moment of disorganization. And from my humble point of view is that we're in this heightened moment of rebranding what is left radicalism and appropriate activism. So that's what I saw happening in the Adolph Reed thing. I saw it happening in the Norman Finkelstein thing. And again, big shout out to TJ Whitaker and that whole crew who we'll be building with more and more here on this platform for reminding us again. So as I'm watching this thing last night, Sundiata, Sekou, Dhoruba, and many others. Bob Boyle was on the call. David Gilbert's on the call. Like even the white folks on the call are way more radical than so many of these other Black figures that we're forced to talk about all the time. That was the reminder of the kind of work that we need to do. And I don't see that being respected in the Finkelsteins, the Reeds, and many others who are out here purporting to be some sort of left thing. And then Aaron Mate's crew is up here gigging with Jimmy Dore and Ron Paul at the anti-war stuff. Like that's their version of anti-war, is to build with Jimmy Dore and Ron Paul. And Adolph Reed is, I guess his thing is build with Bernie Sanders. And Bayard Rustin was more right than Dhoruba bin Wahad. He didn't say that, but that's the line of the argument in that article. And if that is the case, get your crew together and you got some work to get me convinced of that. I mean, that's like convincing me, the atheist, that God exists. You know what I'm saying? If you want, you got to come with some heavy work. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know. So I don't know, man. You tell me what you think. I don't know what we got. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know. I don't know. But we gotta go watch that.
No, I gotta watch that. I don't watch This Is Revolutionary podcast. But I gotta go back and watch that one to see hear for myself, shall I say?
Well, you can let me know what they do. Again, scanning the article, reading at least a good. I actually read the article. I just read it very quickly. I'm not moved. And having read Reed's last book, and when he was on here last time, I think it was very clear we're not on the same page, and I just don't agree with that approach, and I'm not convinced by the argument. And Bayard Rustin, like if you want to say the Panthers are misunderstood and misrepresented, then more accurately represent them with respect for what they did and what they suffered, as opposed to just saying they were wrong and the people who uphold them are even more wrong. Like that doesn't, I don't find that helpful. Reed basically said that those people who hold the same analysis as they did in the 60s and 70s stuck in the past. Yeah. But what is more stuck in the past than vote for Bernie? What is more stuck in the past than you radicals are too far left and lunatic? Like that is the oldest line we've ever heard. That's the line somebody said to Nat Turner. Somebody said that to Harriet Tubman. Somebody said that to David Walker. Man, you doing too much. You going too far. I don't think you should have. And I'm just not moved by it. I just feel like you could be critical of the Panthers and be more respectful. That's all. Don't immediate sacrifice. I believe our movements don't require enough immediate sacrifice to push non-serious people out before they have a chance to cement their positions with it. I mean, that's part of. I mean, to me, all of that gets worked out by sustained organization. Anyway, let me. Do we have time for me to get to this Maggie stuff? Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm saying so snitch jacketing won't happen if you well organized, I guess. So somebody can't just come in.
It's less likely. That's all. I mean, obviously, there's no, pun intended, I guess, bulletproof measure to take, but you're less. I think every issue that we end up dealing with would be, and because part of being in an organization means you have to be humble. Like it didn't happen often, but I did push-ups for being late to a meeting. Sometimes I see some of the comments people make about me now, but people they don't know and leave out the fact that for years, I never said anything. I showed up in spaces, and if you can believe it, I wasn't talking. I didn't say anything. I was in the back, quiet, trying to learn, trying to catch up, trying to play a role. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. And it does. I do feel like the old man. It does feel like everybody got a podcast now. Everybody's leading a march now. Everybody's got a this now. Everybody's the head of this now. Everybody's a season this now. Everybody's that. And I'm like, wow, okay. But,
I think that I'm not saying that the organization was, not radical, whatever, but I did try to look up the brother who I forgot his name, who the white boy made him buy a gun for him. Mm-hmm. Like the organization kind of look really Black Lives Matter-ish. So yeah, again, I don't know how radical or how solid the organization was, but it didn't seem like it was a well-organized organization in the first place. Because one dude was like, he met the white boy and said he talked to him one day and he went straight to the leader, like, oh yeah, you should meet him. He's really cool. Like he already vouching for the dude and he just met him because he had tattoos and shit like that. And then, so I mean, I don't even know if it was a real organization, but I could be wrong. Somebody from Denver knows better.
Yeah, folks, where are you at now, Geechee?
Rashad?
Huh?
Where I'm at. Rashad said it was a ridiculous mix of BLM and. Oh,
I'm sorry, and PSL.
So, yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I guess that was the. Okay. It was just a mixture of them. Okay. Gotcha. Because it didn't seem well organized. It seemed like it was easily infiltrator book. But yeah, you can go to Maggie.
Actually, now I did all this deep dive to got all riled up and got mad at her again, and now I feel like it's a drop off given where we are in the conversation. But I already did all this work, so y'all gonna have to suffer it now anyway. But so somebody tweeted and tagged me to tweet that Mark Anthony Neal had put out supporting Maggie Anderson's. So it's an article she wrote back in December 22nd of 2022. But they sent it to me, and oh my God, man. I think I caught her. I'm going to ask you all for some help just to make sure, but I think I caught her even doing worse than she had done before. So if folks remember, and I have to put the links in the show description. I did not do it for if folks remember the why can't I find the tab there? So all right, I'll come back to that. I said the original BuyBlack movement uplifted entire communities. It can happen again. And this is from Maggie Anderson, December 14th, 2022 in The Guardian. So she's internationalized this argument she's been making for a long time around buying Black and supporting Black businesses, and even around her nonsensical book that I also read about My Black Year and this idea of supporting Black businesses. So what I was going to say is I will put the links in the show description before we even wrap up here. But when Two Black and I went through her work and this nonsensical claim of the circulating Black dollar, I want to say emphatically and clearly once again, and forgive me for soloing here, I want to make this very clear. We proved that the circulating Black dollar claim is completely false, and we traced it back as far as we could to its origins, which include Maggie Anderson, which includes Maggie Anderson and her husband and this academic unit that she was wrapped up in. I don't remember all the details, but my point is we proved that this myth is in fact a myth and doesn't exist, and we even took it back to its origins as much as it could be. All right, so that's one thing. Let me just get, where are my notes on this thing? Why did it take me up there? Where's the note? All right. Now I don't know what's going on. Where are the notes? Where's the article now? Hold up. Oh!
What, you got too many clicks?
They told me, all right, so they told me I had reached my limit with the article. Oh my God.
Send the article in the chat so I can see if I can pull it up.
They said I hit my limit, and I now I can't even pull up all my notes on it. There's the link.
Oh, the notes on it too, dude.
Well, I got my notes here, but I can't pull them up on screen. So let me do it this way. Damn, that's so whack, man. All right, so if folks can see here on the side, one of her claims was we generated more power and justice when it was just us. And her argument was that when the Black community was segregated and the Black community was working on its own with its business community, that they had generated more power than they do now. From the end of the Civil War through the rise of Jim Crow, hundreds of millions of dollars were generated and recycled in Black Wall Streets across the country. So we've already debunked all of that. That these were the creations of Black bourgeois outlets, Black capitalist elite that overrode the 95% of the laboring masses, on and on and on. So this is.
I think you're going out.
What happened? Did I? What happened?
You're out of the chat.
So was I not being heard just now? Why are you taking me out of the chat? I think you're taking me out of the chat. You're taking me off the screen. Why are you doing that? What's happening?
I'm not.
All right, I don't know what's you. I think you did something because. So I moved me back over there. But I'm saying you sharing your screen is doing something to take me off the screen. So wait, don't. All right, don't share your screen because I was actually sharing mine. I think that's what was the issue. Can you take this off? Can you stop sharing your screen?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, there you go. All right. Yeah, because I was sharing this so that
the notes,
at least my notes could be seen. And anyway, so she's making this claim that being segregated was better for Black people, by which she means Black business. And then she claims, she doesn't cite anything, so I couldn't verify this. But the claim was that Black unemployment was lower than the national average until integration. So the idea was that integrating and reducing reliability on Black business hurt the employment rates. I just don't believe that, and I don't know that. I just think that she's doing something funky with whatever number she's looking at. But she praises Madam C.J. Walker. She refers to the death of Dr. King, not the assassination of Dr. King, as a turning point, where as she says here, the civil rights fight dissipated, as did accompanying economic solidarity and entrepreneurial spirit. A new hunger for acceptance set in among Black Americans. It was more potent than racist hatred of our ascendancy. To be like white America, we must buy like white America was the prevailing thinking. But it was the thirst for vengeance, not just inclusion, that led us astray. Our equality, our rights, our value would not be denied, and neither would our dollar. In swarming around their businesses, we essentially abandoned our own. So again, just like I'm saying in another version of what I think Adolph Reed is doing, what I think Norman Finkelstein is doing, she's doing the same thing by rebranding what radical efforts really were. So this idea that all we were after was vengeance, and we should have been after just inclusion, that led us astray. Now, by the way, this is a contradiction of her own argument, because how can we be justly included if, as she's arguing, segregation was better for us and for Black business? But I
think that leads to the question earlier. Someone asked about, is it a Black internal neo-colony? As people are so focused on Black capitalism, and all of Black movements sound like they're Black capitalists. So would you say, instead of internal colony, will you say internal neo-colony, if that's a difference?
I mean, I don't know that it would. I would. The neo-colonial effort is, I think, part of what internal colonialism is wrapped up in. That is, I mean, neo-colonialism is really just a rebranding of the colonial form to allow for the colonized to apparently participate in that process. So, and that's why, when Kwame Nkrumah said domestic capitalism is domestic colonialism, I think in general it's the same thing. So Black capitalism is just the imposed neo-colonial form of the internal colonial process. That would be, I guess, I don't know, my imperfect way of answering that. But again, I'm really, as I was saying the other day, my point about colonialism is about this relationship. The relationship is about extraction. It's about creating a self-consciousness and a self-concept for the colonizer. It's about a permanence of a hostility, which is, I know, what Reed and others have a problem with in terms of their hatred of Afro-pessimism. But my point is, without, as Russell Maroon said, the equal or opposing force to that colonial effort, what are we talking about here? So if the idea is that slowly over time, if we just slowly participate in mainstream electoral politics and slowly advocate for redistributive policies that maybe in hundreds of years, in much like a slow process of human or biological evolution, we will evolve into socialism or something better. I mean, I don't know. I just don't see that. I don't see that. But that seems to be what everybody in one form or another is advocating, which I just keep reading is just a selfish class-based interest. So Maggie Anderson is saying, let's blacken our way to Black capitalist, Black bourgeoisie, you know, me. And Reed is saying, let's, I don't know, Bayard Rustin our way into some post-racial society. And you know, I guess Pascal and his co-hosts are saying, you know, there's no internal colonialism, so we can radically vote our way into some, or not even that. It's we can radically challenge the Democrat. I don't even know. I don't know. So let me not speculate on what they're apparently speculating on about me or anyone else. But I just not, you know. Just a few more things here from Maggie Anderson, and then I want to show what she really continues to get wrong here. Wait a minute. The depletion of Black business power was exacerbated by the lack and loss of self-help economics. So she's saying Dr. King dies, is not assassinated, he just dies. And then that moment turns Black people away from civil rights and self-help and Black business power. So proudly and productively practiced by other groups. Right, other groups do this thing. Is another thing, you know, everybody else does what we can't do. No details, no analysis, no real comparison of the condition of these communities. In 2008, she says, I conducted a year-long experiment in which my family and I publicly pledged to exclusively buy Black for an entire year. She goes on to talk about how that failed, but she leaves it at this idea that it failed because Black people aren't, we've lost our self-help economic capability. She doesn't offer, and neither does her book, by the way, offer any real analysis of why Black businesses can't work and why they can't provide what everyone would need, and why it's insane to suggest that Black people, most of whom are nowhere near economically where Maggie Anderson and her husband are, could somehow go well out of their way on a daily basis to find products owned by Black people that they would then buy, and services provided by Black people that they would then buy, when there aren't enough. Just doesn't exist. Yeah, go ahead.
So Killer Mike went deeper when he did that that documentary. You remember the documentary?
The Netflix thing. The Netflix series.
When he said it's impossible to buy Black because, like, let's say, for instance, if you have a Black restaurant, if you didn't control or own the steak that's being served, then you technically not buying Black. She didn't go that deep, right? She just went Black retailer at least.
I don't remember all the details, to be perfectly honest, but she doesn't, what I know she doesn't do is explain, well, she doesn't explain any of those points. She doesn't explain how Black people don't have enough money. She doesn't explain how Black businesses can't exist at the scale to satisfy all the needs of even Black consumers, much less anybody else. And as I'm going to get to, I'm going to show you how she completely misrepresents even bad economic analysis to support her point. So this is, in fact, this is what she was saying here. I set out and failed to prove that buying Black can demonstrate our commitment to curing economic injustice. My community's response to my family's project, which I called the empowerment experiment in terms of economic solidarity, was lackluster at best. Lots of pats on the back, fewer converts. Because again, it's not about a conversion to your gospel of Black prosperity. It's about what are Black people supposed to do? Even with relative flexibility in terms of my class position, where are we supposed to go to buy Black? What we would have to live like Maggie did that year, well, what they claimed they did that year, and on a daily basis make wildly long trips or wait for the few specific items that Black businesses can provide. In other words, there's not a Black-owned business that can provide all of your needs. So never mind if you have any differences in terms of the quality or the style. Like, there's not like a variety of Black businesses. But she doesn't do any of that work. She just wants to blame a lack of consciousness. She said, I had to swallow the fact that just as Barack Obama's election did not rid us of the rule of and reign of racism, neither did my BuyBlack stand and study. So my note here was that because both are equally fanciful. No wonder they didn't work. The idea that Obama was going to solve anything or that you were going to be able to prove something with your silly, ridiculous study is fantasy. No wonder it didn't work. She talks about the majority of employees of Black-owned businesses are in Black people. So this is why she starts talking about the value of Black businesses. And this is where she even goes more off the rails, if you can believe it. The majority of employees of Black-owned businesses are Black people who are the most unemployed segment of the U.S. Getting a job is the greatest deterrent to offenders returning to crime. And Black businesses are more likely to hire ex-offenders. So committing to supporting these businesses is not just a way to support entrepreneurs who've been struggling against entrenched racism, but also as an effective deterrent to crime and recidivism. And then as I wrote here, because they are mostly single employers, self-employers who cannot expand and are desperate for desperately exploitable labor. So to the extent that anything she said here is true, which she does not support with any data or any research, it's because of what I just said. Businesses create hope and pride. Okay, now here's where she really and this is what really sent me down this deeper rabbit hole, because she says, according to a 2021 McKinsey report, for every dollar spent with Black-owned businesses, the economic effect feels like a $5 investment because that dollar stays and is recycled in and among the community. Now, I was hoping to be able to say this morning definitively that what is the closest responsible way I can say that she is lying or making up conclusions that are not supported by data? At best, she wildly misquotes what she claims to represent in her citation here. So she links to a report, the 2021 McKinsey report. Let me just finish with what the last thing she says here. Buying Black is not racist or even revolutionary. Well, that part is true. Buying Black is normal and necessary, simple and time-tested. Still, it is so underutilized, trivialized, and radicalized, even though if we just try to recreate the successes of eras past, Buying Black will benefit us all. So again, there are no successes of the eras past, other than for a handful of Black people, because even if she goes back to talk about the 1930s, she, of course, ignores Abram Harris's argument where he shows at that time, live and direct, that there is already a long history in the 1930s of the fraudulence of buying Black and don't buy where you can't work campaigns and all this other kind of stuff, which, as he points out, only helps the Black capitalist elite, who are, as he put, the biggest exploiters of Black people. But of course, she ignores that. All right. So she mentions this McKinsey report. Of course, she's counting on the fact that people will not either check her citation or will not read the source that she references. I did both. I had actually already read this report. I had already, read this article and the report that it actually covers. And I can't find, I went and looked at it again. I read it again. I took notes on it again. I played it this morning using my Speechify app so I could listen to it again, and nowhere is there a reference to this. If you support Black business, the dollar you spend there reverberates 5 times in the community. So that quote is not in there at all. What you do get in this report, and again, as I've talked about and will be in the second edition of the BuyingPower book, McKinsey has no interest in helping Black people. They're not talking to Black people. Their reports are not for Black audiences. Their reports are for highly paid contracts that go to municipalities, corporations, marketing agencies, all helping advertisers properly spend their money to attract whatever money they can get from Black consumers, and for these folks to promote non-solution solutions to Black inequality. All right. But even within that, you do get some stark reality data that doesn't comport with what Maggie Anderson is saying or anyone else. All right. So for instance, and they do it for different reasons. So for instance, here, when they talk about an estimated $220 billion in annual disparity between Black and white wages, they're not saying this because they want Black people to do better for Black people. Their ultimate argument, if you ever read the argument, and I'll put all the links in the show description. I just didn't do it before we got here. If you read what they're saying that if that solving this problem would mean more money to be spent with white businesses. So in other words, if you pay Black people more, you will be able to say you've solved the Black-white inequality income issue, but they're just going to give the money right back to you. So Maggie, for instance, doesn't even include stuff like this. The median wage for all U.S. workers is around $42,000 per year, but 43% of Black workers earn less than $30,000 per year. Maybe that's why, Maggie, there's no money for your Black businesses. The vast majority, 96% of all Black-owned businesses are sole proprietorships. That figure is only 80% for non-Black-owned businesses. So in other words, again, what one single proprietor Black-owned business is going to satisfy 40 million needs of Black people? And remember, and right, Geechee, the 40 million different Black needs. Differently Black needs. And as they say here, scaling up remains a challenge. So even they acknowledge what I and others have been arguing for a long time. Black businesses don't have any money to scale up, and nobody invests in them to scale up to satisfy more. So by the way, again, it's the same thing. In a parity scenario, Black-owned businesses would generate $1.6 trillion more than they do today. If Black share of business ownership matched Black share of the population, this part is all fantasy. If Black people had the same amount of businesses as they have the population, it would be $600 billion in revenue. But they don't mean that would be for Black people to become equal and powerful. They mean that revenue would be put back into the economy through their consumption. The Black-owned businesses that do exist tend to be small, both in number of employees and firm revenue. Black-owned companies employ about 50% fewer workers on average than their non-Black-owned counterparts. Only 2% have more than 50 employees. Black-owned employer firms generate only 60% of the revenue produced by their non-Black-owned counterparts, $1 million annually on average versus $2.4 million. The Black business owners we interviewed cited exclusion from professional networks and a lack of flexible capital to invest in technology and research and development innovations as common challenges to scaling up. All right. Now, this was an interesting sleight of hand as well. Manufacturing stands out as an arena in which Black-owned businesses are larger. Although only 1% of U.S. manufacturing firms are under Black ownership, those companies generate slightly more revenue than non-Black-owned manufacturing businesses at nearly $6 million in annual revenue on average. So instead of framing it differently by saying most Black-owned businesses are in the smaller areas of the economy outside of manufacturing, they phrase it as there's more of them in manufacturing, even though it's only 1%. And those companies do better than non-manufacturing Black-owned businesses. But if you continue to read the article, what most of those Black-owned businesses in manufacturing are supportive downstream suppliers. So even in my own note,
distributors.
I think I'm sorry, say that again.
Saying distributors, right?
Distributors. I said subsidiaries. They're subsidiaries. They're just, we do all the making, the manufacturing and wealth creation, and we hand it to you to deliver it.
With your
or to
LLC.
supply.
You take your LLC and you deliver some
That's
shit.
it. There you go. And that counts as a Black-owned business that can't itself scale up, become competitive, or employ more Black people. So later on in the article, they do. Yeah, go ahead.
Did Maggie drop her book before Brooks Stevenson's?
Who's Brooks Stevenson?
Remember Brooks Stevenson or Brooks Stevens or whatever her name is?
No, that's the one. That's the one that. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's the one who made up the Circulating the Black Dollar and didn't have the Economist.
No, Maggie Anderson's book came out much later. Brooks, and this is what Two Black and I went over. Her Brooks book came out in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah, 95. Yeah.
And then Anderson does her thing in 2008.
Oh shit.
And again, I got to go back, and I'll put the link in. People should go watch it, because we go back and find, because Brooke cites some university study for the circulating dollar, and it ties back to Maggie Anderson's husband's institute or some again, I forgot the details, but the point is it's circular referencing with no data to support the claim is the point.
So every generation got they got a Brooke, they got a Maggie, and then now there's gonna be Keezy or Angela Rich. Yep. One of them gonna be the next one.
Yep.
Damn it.
Now later on in the article, McKinsey does say more accurately that 4 industries: accommodation and food service, healthcare and social assistance, transportation and warehousing, and administrative support. That's where Black businesses are. Accommodation and food service, healthcare and social assistance, transportation and warehousing, administrative support. That's why there's no money. And what are you going, again, where out of all of this are you going to get your towels and soaps and sheets and clothes and shoes and cars and car parts? And think about all the things, even if we stripped it down to what we need as opposed to what we want per se. Who's supplying all of that? What Black-owned businesses even supply? There's no Black-owned TV service or social media. There's no Black-owned. We don't even have 2 white-owned sources for electricity in the Maryland area, do we?
Maggie gonna have y'all free balling out here, because we don't make no underwear either. That's what John Henry Clark says. So we gonna be free balling.
We don't even make underwear.
Damn, Maggie.
So here they get into the buying power, some of the buying power stuff, and as I've already talked about at length, and again even in the second issue of the book, that they're getting all their data from Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're misquoting those statistics. They're not using them to help Black people understand their economic condition. They're doing it specifically so that they can again help redirect advertising revenue and make big checks themselves. And when they talk about all of this inequality that does exist, the context and the framing is, again, if you close these gaps, all it will do is create more money for you, meaning the elite, the ownership, the white corporate world. So again, it's not meant to mean something in terms of power, freedom, autonomy, sovereignty, political power, etc., for Black people. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, the median, the median Black household has about 1/8 the wealth of the white household, 188,000 to 24,000. Black households don't have long-term assets. Black borrowers from different, interest rates to $2 billion annually just for auto loans. Black people are not represented in financial advisory roles, which is what McKinsey's making all its money from. So, again, they just keep going and going and going. But what you notice is there's nothing in here about if you invest in Black businesses, that money will circulate 5 times over in the Black community. By the way, just so we're all clear, I didn't just leave it there. I went, and because what I was just showing you was basically the executive summary of this full report, which I have download and read a number of times already. Now, admittedly, I'm looking for certain things, so I'm open to the possibility that I've missed something, but I did a search again in this report, and nowhere does it say anything about 5 times, so my point, the reason I'm bringing that up and is that not only is the overall argument of Maggie Anderson false and demonstrably false, it's very poorly researched. And then she's making claims that are themselves not even in the sources she's citing, which to me, and I admit some academic whatever here, but that to me is the most egregious thing you can do. I admit on some level I get more angry at that than even the nonsense of her argument. How dare you reference an already fraudulent report and then ascribe to it an even greater degree of fraudulence and not have support for it. And then you're doing it in The Guardian, you're doing it in front of the whole world and doing it in the context of saying that Black people are poor because of their own problems, their own refusal to get over a lack of Black self-economic do-it-for-self whatever. So, and then lastly, that Mark, I don't have my chief petty officer in it, that Mark Anthony Neal would be retweeting this, knowing full well that he knows who I am, knows me, we've paneled together, been in touch with each other, and has never interviewed me, never even reviewed the book, never said boo about my work, and is going to retweet this nonsense uncritically. And when I said to him on Twitter that it's nonsense, I haven't heard back from him on that either. So there it is. That's it.
So one of the toughest things of having this conversation, be it a barbershop, organized community, or even a damn school, is people are not prepared to hear that white wealthy people got their money through violence, public policy, and fraud. They're just not really. That's not a conversation that we're rather to have. I actually was in Asheville and was talking about Black Wall Street from this organization who was supposedly trying to do some kind of collective work. The white man who was a part of the Black organization, reparations organization, he was fully aware of the public policy that destroyed Tulsa, Oklahoma the second time, but he didn't know about the violence or why the violence occurred the first time. So, he as a white man believes that he will be too radical for the Black folks, so he shuts up. He don't want to talk. Like, he don't want to say certain things because, again, majority of the Black people believe, let's just circulate the dollar, let's collect our money and buy this building, and I'm gonna own this. And so I don't know. I don't know if we got to do a better job of I don't want to say dumbing it down like Jay-Z said, but like people just not ready to prepare to hear that.
I don't think it's an issue of dumbing down. I think it's an issue of I make the same argument. I think it stems from the same problem that we on certain elements of the left are not properly organized. I think part of it is that. I think part of it is also that people are not being principled enough in both making their arguments and challenging others who make arguments that they disagree with. In other words, it's not that Black audiences are too dumb or are incapable of understanding. It's that they never get a sustained, honest message. And that's my biggest problem, I don't agree, maybe other than a question of questioning God's existence or Jesus or something like that. That is the only area I feel like Black people are probably positioned to resist more than anything. But in terms of a question of the actual economic or political condition, I don't think anybody's too dumb or incapable of understanding. I think that they're just not getting the information, and too many people including black ones, do what that white example, in other words, we would rather be popular and welcomed everywhere than make points that need to be made. And I think, and I get it. I admit it. I admit it personally. I feel a kind of way when I think I should be invited somewhere and I'm not. I am hurt on some level when I feel like people are willfully ignoring me. I get it. It's not easy. I want to be at these gatherings. I want to be invited everywhere. I want to be included. I get it. I'm as guilty of that as anybody. But at a certain point, I don't know how we can keep looking at the actual reality or the analysis of the data and not make certain points or be willing to make certain points. So that to me is what I think is the bigger problem. That too few people. This has always been my problem with whatever people were saying about his book. My bigger problem with people like Gerald Horne and Robin Kelly and whomever else is not whatever their arguments are per se. It's their unwillingness to challenge the people they know are making fraudulent arguments on our behalf that permeate and make our work harder. So I don't know. So that's anyway. I don't. Maybe I wasn't as clear as I need to be, but that's basically my point. I don't think anybody is incapable of understanding. I don't think my argument around buying power is so complicated that people can't get it. If anything, they don't get it because they only hear it once or twice, and maybe in framed improperly. And then they get a steady diet of bank black and buy black and black capital and black entrepreneur and don't hate and be a black billionaire and we gotta love black celebrity. I mean, that's just the constant. And then here comes Jared talk about no, and people are like, nah, why would I listen to him? Especially everywhere else I go, someone disagrees with him. Even people that know better. And even sitting next to somebody who they would respect, who is unwilling to challenge that person publicly because they don't want to be seen as being disinvitable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of go back to the knee-jerk reaction of like, well, we got to do something. We got to do something. Like, I guess you were saying, whoever was saying earlier, like, do something. Because I even once you break people down to the point of like, okay, you're right. But still, we still can do something with the little bit of money we have. And what that something entails is normally putting that money into a space to try to make more money. Investing in something. And I guess, majority of the people, we did a research, or we studied a research of the people who still believe in the American dream in homeless shelters and feel like they're just one choice away. One decision away. So like the majority of people think they're gonna get it one day. One day they're gonna get it. You just keep going. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna hit the numbers. They played a lotto every day. I
was in that homeless shelter and I was like, I don't see no answers, and that's why I signed up into the military. It was that simple. I was like, I don't see no answers. That was your ticket. Well,
that was that lotto ticket.
That was the ticket. That was my lotto ticket. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
By the way, I still see that homeless shelter. It's right down the street from where my girls go to school. In fact, I still see it on a regular basis. And I'm like, anyway, damn. Anyway, but if, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. No, but, and I guess one thing the one thing is that difference between, so like if I said what I was doing yesterday at the Capitol was the solution, that's what we should be doing, that would where I would fall into what I think should be the criticizable arena. And that's my point about all of this. I don't have a problem with people saying we got to figure something out in the interim. We got to do this. Let's try that. Let's do this. It's when they say this is the solution and anything to the left of this is wrong and silly. That's my bigger problem. So, yeah. And yeah, I'll let you know. Whoever gets the answers first, put the bat signal up. But anyway, so Anyway, my man, that was it. That's all I got. Anything you want us to get to before we wrap up for the day, or let us know about that you got coming up?
Nah, that's it. We are studying Organized Fight Win by Dr. CBS and the other author. So we're gonna be reading that, going through those the black radical women. Does Geechee cook? Yeah, I cook. Who else? What the fuck? Yeah, I cook. I could take over your kitchen too if you need me to take over your kitchen vegan style. Throw all the dead shit away, and then yeah. So if you trying to hire me,
when you gonna be back? When you gonna be back in Howard County? I need that visit. You can come through and vegan. You know, hook us up.
I don't know. I'm fleeing the country for a little while. Probably soon though, but I'm fleeing the country.
Good for you, man. Stay on the run, man. Stay on the run, man. Just take a mic and some headphones with you.
I can't bring
some
the
internet and some internets. All right. Anyway, listen. First of all, once again, big shout out. Let me pull this up here. Big shout out to BPM on our 2nd anniversary, and a big thanks to all of you in the remixing community that have made this possible. Big shout out to all of our contributors. Big shout out to really everybody, and I definitely appreciate it. I just want to pull up this little banner that was made, for happy anniversary, happy birthday to Dr. Todd Stephen Burrows, happy birthday to Dr. Huey P. Newton, and I'm probably forgetting some others, and but definitely thanks to everybody. Appreciate you supporting. And if everybody here would do their social medias on behalf of BPM as much as Quaker Anarchist and Sugar Booger, we would have twice as many subscribers that we have now. So let's all of that stuff. Wait a minute. This isn't this can't be him. This got to be somebody else. Dr. Ball's always messing up the boom, boom room. Can we have this one fantasy? I struggle with myself. We need this. Man, don't tell me I'm messing up the boom, boom room now. That hurts my heart, man. That's my movie. I hear you, though. I hear you. I don't mean to mess up the boom, boom room.
Anybody comes to the boom, boom room?
I don't want to be seen as that. Dad, that hurt a little bit. Thanks for the super chat, but that did hurt a little bit. I'm not trying to mess up the boom boom room. I'm trying to get us to the boom boom room.
Right, man.
I want to actually make the boom boom room real.
We need to have you or Kamal on Drink Champ soon. So
look, I would go on Drink Champ. My only regret is that I have not earned a visit to Drink Champs. I would be up there in a minute, and I would drink DJ FEFN, whatever his name is. I would drink Nori under the table. I'll smoke them under the table, drink them under the table. I'll be everybody in there. I'll be the last man standing and still have the best analysis. Shoot. Nori, that's a challenge. Invite
I guess we're gonna have to do we might have to do our own. We have to do our own Drink Champ episode, man. In between all the shows.
I would love that. We'd have to make it. We'd have to. Oh, man, let me tell y'all something, man. This is big right here. Thank you, DJ RBI. There is this. He did some initial logo work for me back in the day. Worked with us at WPFW, where he's still one of the best DJs on the planet, coming out of the DMV, DC representative. That's my guy. Thank you, DJ RBI. That dude is fierce. And when I still got it on mixwhatilike.org. He came there, did live remixes and showed us how the samples got done, all that kind of stuff. That dude is fierce. Big shout out to you, DJ RBI. Thanks for checking us out too. Nah, man, thanks you, man. Thanks to you, man. Seriously, that dude is fierce. Edibles. Oh, I would love that. Hey, RBI, real quick, man. Let me know next time when you perform somewhere where I can get an actual seat. Let me know, man. I can't be standing up no more, man. I need a real seat where I can actually see the turntables. But if they got those VIP setups, man, let me know, man. I need to come check you out again. It's been too long. Man, anyway, Yeah, BPM edibles would be dope. That would be very
some
dope.
vegan ones though.
They need to be vegan though. They need to be vegan though.
I got some vegan ones.
All right, well, you know, there we go. But we're not. That's just jokes. Everybody out there, it's just a joke. I don't want ATF or whoever deals with that come crashing down on it. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Anyway, good people. Look, happy anniversary. Thanks everybody. Really big. Well, are you gonna be at that thing tonight? Oh, tomorrow night. Where's that? I couldn't afford
tomorrow night. What time? Where?
What time and where? Because
I got a long ass layover in DC. So go ahead, pull that back up. Where tomorrow?
I'm waiting for him to answer because I can't afford that Howard Theater joint tonight. I was like, God damn. I mean, more power. I hope the artists are getting that money because wait tonight. DC at the hip hop shop. I don't even know that spot. Hold up, son. Hip hop shop. They got seats in that joint. They got seats. I need to be seated. And what's up? Oh, look at this. Hold up. I'm gonna pull it up. Oh, wait. No. There it is. Lord Finesse.
That's tomorrow.
DJ RBI. Yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Tell them put us on a will call, bro.
Oh, it's at the National Hip Hop Museum. 7 p.m. to midnight. Dude, if they have seats and they got a cash bar, Canna Lounge. What is Canna? Canna Lounge? Not Canna.
You know what a Canna Lounge. You know what that is. You know what that is. Don't act like you brand new. You know exactly.
Oh, I might have to. They got all of that there. Oh, son. Yo. I think I have.
All I just need to know, can I get my tickets? Can I get my tickets at will call when I show up?
Yeah. I don't know. Do we have it like that? Man, thank you, We Out. Appreciate you. And happy anniversary to you too. You've been helping us out. Let us know, man. Let me know. RBI, please, my man.
Special ed, yo.
Canna Lounge. Seats in a Canna Lounge. That is one good way to, if you want to up the chances of seeing me somewhere, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. Because all that standing around and all that lines and coat checks and waiting 10 minutes at the bar to get a drink, I can't do it. I physically cannot do it anymore. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We having it now. This is it. We having it now. Yeah, Pioline, Coco. Oh man, DJ RBI, straight up, man. In all seriousness, man, one of my favorite people on the planet, man. RBI is one of them cats that, like, people like, I wish we were really crew for real. Like, I wish I was in his circle like that. That's RBI. I'm too far on the outside, but when I see him, I'm like, man, I wish I was in your crew, man. RBI is the shit, man, and very talented on them ones and twos. So. Yeah, we might. What?
Come on, man.
Wait, in less. Where is less? What is that acronym? What is LES?
Some Eastern Shore. I don't know.
I don't know that one. Hey, Pioline, it would be an honor. And a 420. That's another surefire way. If you got a couch or if you got a chair with a back. It can't be a stool. I need a chair with a back.
You there?
I mean, you know what I mean?
Oh,
thank
lower,
you,
lower
Pan
East Side.
King. Oh, lower East Side. Oh, that must be New York. That's New York. That's New York. That's New York. Okay, I could do New York.
New York.
I could do New York. I could absolutely do New York.
And that's
all I need is who?
Uncle Murder. Ain't Uncle Murder from Lower East? You don't know Uncle Murder?
Uncle Murder. I don't know Uncle Murder. I don't know nobody with that kind of nickname.
Oh, well, Coco knows. She from up north.
I don't know Diverse Tribe. I don't know, man. Could you call me? I don't know. That sounds dangerous. That sounds spooky. Bring my Timbs. I don't have Timbs anymore. I got Merrills. I'll bring my Merrills. But I like this idea. 420 Lower East Side. What's up? Huh?
I bring my Timbs. I'm gonna be 5'10" then, so y'all gotta watch out.
So, hey, straight up, send me the information. I'm always looking for another reason to go to New York, and Timbs are required at the door. Uh-oh.
And I'm gonna bring the bubble coat too. Bubble coat, Timbs. Try to find
that's
me
messed up. That's messed up, E-Tom. That's messed up. That's messed up. Skechers, come on, son. That's messed up. That's messed up. Please do. Please do. That's what's up. I like that. I like that. I don't do Yankees. I don't do Yankees. My fitteds are politically I got a Nat Turner fitted. I got a oh, it's not fitted though. It's not fitted.
I'm gonna wear Diallo African turban that he had on.
Diallo looking, his sound was off, but he was looking fly in that turban.
The Pan-African Houdini.
Yeah. The Pan-African. And big look, big shout out. Oh man, yeah, get some babysitters. No, I'm just messing with you. Absolutely. My numbers, I think my number's on my website. My number's easily. Email me. We can work that out if you don't have my number. Too many people got my number. I'm not hard to find. Which is why I'm always hating when people don't find me. Don't act like you can't find me. You know where I'm at. You willfully not finding me. We need BPM to cut out host play cards to dress you all for all occasions. Oh, wow.
That will be wild.
Oh wow! Somebody got a Diallo is hilarious. Diallo is hilarious.
Oh shoot, Uncle Murder and Bobby Smurder. I know they joke. Somebody joke. Cousin.
Oh okay, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So get yourself April 20th, Geechee. We going to New York.
Let's do it.
And what day of the week is that? Maybe we do and that gives me time to get in touch with Nori so I can get booked for Drink Champs while I'm up there. Let's go do Drink Champs. Let's have they had Earn Your Leisure. They should have Earn Your Liberation on there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Look, man, for real though, let's tell your man about tomorrow, for real, tomorrow night. If we can get in there, I'm trying to get in there too.
Oh no, DJ RBI. No, he's gonna hit us up. He said he's gonna hit me up and give me the information and let's communicate outside of the show. But yeah, if Nori can have
the coach's top thought leader,
I feel like they can make room for us, man. I feel like they can make room.
Somebody said they're in Miami though.
Oh, you're right. That's right. Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah,
that's right. I should have known. That's right.
Yeah, right,
Nori.
Remember, Nori left New York a long time ago.
That's right. Of course. That's right.
Back.
All right. Well. I mean, Miami, holla at me. I've been down there before. I hate Florida, but I'll go back down there. I'll go back down there for Drink Champs. Shout out to Nat Turner. Absolutely. I got my. In fact, the hat says 1833, and I was at the store. It says that turn on the side, and I was at a car place one day, and the dude behind the counter said, "What happened in 1833?" And I just looked at him for a quick second, like, if you don't know, But I said no. Nat Turner happened in 1830, and he was like, "Oh," and then he went back to the business. I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's keep it to the business then." Yeah, because Nat Turner could happen again in 2023. Yeah. Anyway. RBI, man, hit me up, man. Big shout out to you. Shout out to all the remixers. Thanks to everybody with the super chats as well. We really appreciate it. And we're working on not only with the documentary we're funding, but we're working on another way to put all of that collective money to very good use. And hopefully we'll have an announcement about that soon as well. So other than funding all of this Diallo travel, this first class travel that BPM now has to fund to keep Diallo happy and on the platform, other than that, your money goes to good use. That's the only That's the only
Especially
real
as vegan restaurants.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when you break down BPM's budget now, this is the only big fat line item is Diallo's budget. And but other than that, you know, we try to put the money to good use. To good use. You know, thank you, Freddie. Yeah.
I had one to complain, but they only pay me in gummies. So
you
they
easy.
just be giving me edible shit.
We just give you edibles, keep you quiet, and you know, Diallo's the only one that needs that first class life. You know, the flying first class, living in 5-star hotels. You know what I'm saying? It's rough. It's hard. That turban was expensive.
Yep.
I mean, he don't just rock anything. Yeah, them plants. I mean, that plant care. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of money. No, I got a special effects package on the budget. Again, Diallo's the line item. Everything else is just Diallo, and then it's like a lot of little. Everything else just looks like fine print. You know, so we do the best we can working around Diallo's expenses. But Geechee, man, big shout out to you, man. Thanks again for working with us here on another Friday, and good luck with the barter and build work as well. Keep us up to tune in that. The link to that is in the show description as well. I will add everything else that needs to be. And as always, like Fred Hampton used to say, peace only if you're willing to fight for it. Thanks again. Happy anniversary to BPM. And we'll catch you next time here at Earn Your Liberation. Thanks, everybody.
They say when you wear Black Power Media gear, you can accomplish anything. You play any and every position. Coaching, to kicking, to receiving, to running and juking. And, oh, my goodness. Let's see that again in slow motion. Get off me. And you're going to have a lot of haters coming at you. But what you got to do is you got to shake them off, and get to your goal and accomplish it. And when that's done, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about going hard, extra, for that extra point. And when it's done beautifully, you talking about touchdown. Oh, and the crowd goes wild and they're celebrating with you and everything. Man, let's see that again. Nice.
Black Power Media, baby. That's how we do it.
Now go to blackpowermedia.org and get you some of that gear. Empower yourself today. Yeah.